Welcome to Geeks 4x4, your home for all the Excursion-related content. And today, we are going to talk about the rear suspension of the Bob Excursion. There has been a little bit made about what I did. I kind of just glossed over it. There was some videos of me installing it and showing all that stuff. And so, there are some videos there. I'll put some links around, probably in the description or up above, to the install videos of these products and such like that. They're not necessarily specific videos. They're just like they were installed in that video. But anyway, let me flip the camera around and I'm going to show you guys real quick what I have set up on the rear of the Bob Excursion. All right, so we are looking at the PMF shackle flip kit. This fits Excursions. It fits F250s. From the factory, the shackle goes up and the spring. So this shackle would be completely 180 going up instead of coming down. Yeah, that would be the factory setup. That is a factory shackle still, and factory Excursion leaf springs, but there are only 4 leaves. I've taken out 2 or more, I can't remember, leaves out of each spring pack of this truck. You'll notice that all of the short springs are gone, pretty much. So I've kept all the long ones. Need to see how this holds the weight as I add stuff into the rear of the truck. But I think it's going to work just fine. And I just did a leaf spring swap on my brother's truck, and I kept the factory leaves from his too. And if I need add another leaf, I want to add another long one, because that's how you make it ride good. The other thing you will notice with a quick look at this stack, if you're an Excursion guy, is that is not a factory block. So that is a 1-inch block that has been drilled even with the PMF top bracket. That's also a PMF top bracket for my U-bolts. Still need new U-bolts. Haven't finalized the shim in this yet so that it's perfect as far as driveline vibration and stuff like that. So all that still, but PMF sells that top bracket and it has some adjustable holes in the top of it, and I slid the axle back because when you bring the axle down for the shackle flip, it pushes the axle forward in the wheel well, and we didn't want that. So it's moved back, I think 1/2 inch or 5/8 or something like that. I think there's a 5/8 hole and then there's one that's like over 1 inch or something like that. So I've got in the smaller pushback hole, and I have a 6-degree shim in it right now. That is too much shim. I think I need like a 3 or 4 degree shim. So I've got to get that all figured out. And that shim actually pushes the front of the axle down towards the ground to make it more even with the front, because this puts the spring differently and the axle actually tips upward. The shock mounts are factory Excursion shock mounts that are flipped over and U-bolted around the axle. I need to put tabs on there and actually weld them to the axle, and I will do that once I get this completely where I want it. Old limited slip 410 differential, nothing crazy there. Original spring perch up in front, and yeah, other than that, that is the rear suspension, and I think it works pretty well for leaf springs. I'm very much, it'll tuck the tire up underneath the lip, up in there. You'll notice there's no way I can get to the bump stop. Took some pictures and video. I might even put those in here to show you guys of it on the CTI trailer, so I know how far I need to make the bump stops come down so that I can actually have a bump stop. So anyway, that is the rear suspension setup. Well, I figured I'd tell you a story since I'm down here with the light. The reason that the rear suspension is what it is 2 things. It is, yes, I'm telling a ghost story. It is, 1, because of budget. 2, because I think it's going to work really well. The Excursion springs are soft, but they are long, so they're nice and flexible. And the reason to flip the shackle is because it fixes the geometry. For a long time, a inverted shackle, like it is factory on the Excursion, is... I'm just playing with the line now. Inverted shackle, like it is on the Excursion, was really invented to help with stability when towing. and it just doesn't allow for flex. So what happens is when the spring is trying to bend, so the spring is like this, right? Well, it's trying to do this, and the end is trying to come down. Well, this end is also going backwards, because if it's smaller, as it gets longer, it goes that way. And so when the shackle's inverted, it actually kind of pulls the spring down along with it, flexing. I don't know, the geometry is stiffer just by nature. It is supposed to be that way. It was designed that way. Off-Road Design did just come out with a shackle that is inverted and actually folds all the way around, and it'll come back. And that allows for a lot of droop. And that is the problem with leaf springs, is that they don't allow for a droop. This axle will only droop out as far as the weight of the axle and the tire will bring it down. And so it is kind of at a little bit of a disadvantage versus the coils, because the coils can drop, as far as the shock will let it, essentially. It should be not the shock, it should be the limiting strap. But, shocks are limiting straps, just cheap. So yeah, that's the suspension setup on Bob. It works really well. I measured the shocks and just got some custom length Monroes. But, all custom. If you want to do something like that, you're going to have to build them for your truck too. But, it's very doable. It's very simple. That's the coolest part about leaf springs, is that they are very simple. I think the back of this truck will stay leaf sprung for a while. Probably a long time. I don't know if I'll ever 4-link it. That'd be kind of fun. But it's a ton of work. And I'm going to put a center belly gas tank, and so I don't really know I'm going to have the room to 4-link it. But anyway, it flexes pretty darn good, and hopefully I can put some footage in here to show ya right here. All right, cool. That footage was cool, huh? Okay, anyway, if you got some value out of this, if you are interested more in Blue Bob build, and if you just plain like me, you should subscribe to this video. Well, you should like this video, subscribe to the channel. Anyway, we'll see y'all on the next one.